and welcome. This is our second Wednesday training that I do every month on the GAG, which is Google Ad Grants. Today I'm going to be talking about what is the Google Ad Grant, because that's generally where you need to start. Google Ad Grants, and this is an introduction. What's the agenda today? We're going to first talk about what is it, giving you a clear idea of what it is and why you should get it. Before applying, what needs to be in place before you make the application, and how to apply. So, what is the Google Ad Grant? It was started in 2003, and the first grant went to the March of Dimes. That was when Facebook launched, and a lot of social community platforms were launched back in 2003. This Google Ad Grant platform has become a major business model for Google, and it ranks just like their Google Gmail and their Maps. And I'm sure you know how popular those are. What is it again? It's for any designated 501c3 organization. That means you have to have gone through the process with the Internal Revenue Service and received your 501c3 determination letter. What you get is $10,000 per month in free ad credits. You don't actually get $10,000 cash, you get free ad credits, but you're going to see in a minute why that is so important. And it really rounds out to about $330 per day in ads. What are Google's goals? First of all, they want to help you increase your reach. Marketing is a key challenge for nonprofits, so they're here to help. They want to expand your capacity so that you can do more. And that means with volunteers, have more funding resources, and share the information that you have. And they want to improve your marketing efforts. They want you to think outside the box and to increase your impact. That's the overall goal, because every nonprofit success is measured by impact. Now, let's go through some of the details of a Google Ad Grant. First of all, it is non-competitive. That means you're not putting your application in a pool where a lot of other nonprofits might be, and then you're ranked, or then it's decided if you should get the grant. Every nonprofit that is eligible and has all of the technical specifications in place will get the grant. So that means it's non-competitive. There's no deadline application. You can apply for and get the grant anytime. As soon as you have the technical specifications ready, you can apply for the grant. Budgets, as I said before, are $330 per day. It's a daily allotment. It doesn't roll over. So that means if you don't use it one day, it's not $660 the next day. And you can't bank fund. So you can't keep building up what's in your pool. You've got to use it, or as they say, you lose it. Even faith-based organizations are eligible if you are registered and designated 501c3. That means that you have filed with IRS the 1023 application and have received a determination letter. And that might be confusing for some religious organization or faith-based organization, because technically you can claim to be a nonprofit organization without filing those, because you're grandfathered in because of religious affiliation. So what are Google Ads? Because this is what you're getting that $10,000 for. Whenever you do a Google Ad search, you'll notice that at the very top of the page, you'll see certain ads featured, and it has a small ad icon right next to it. All of those, the four that you see here, are what it looks like. It's in the red circle there, and it says ad. Your ad will be at the top of the page, and that means you'll get faster results and you'll attract more audience with high intent, because they're finding exactly what they want. Yes, you could do organic ads, but as you see, they're listed at the bottom of the page. So paid ads, and that's what these are considered, are much better because they have better results. Why every nonprofit should consider applying for and using the Google Ad grants. First of all, you have to have a digital presence to be found, whether it's your website, then you layer on some social media platforms. But in order to be seen and heard, you have to have a digital presence. And Google is the way. Let's talk some numbers, why you'll see why Google is one of your best features. First of all, 89.3 billion, yes, that's with a B, searches are done per month. And that's a big number. 8.5 billion per day. Just think about it. That's 99,000 per second. Also, Google has the 91.9% of the market share. That means compared to Bing and Yahoo and all of the other search engines, Google gets 91.9% of that market share. That only leaves about 8% to spread out between all of the other search engines. You can't deny that those are impressive numbers, and that's why you need to show up in Google searches. Now, let's talk about the application process. You've seen some of the reasons why. As a nonprofit, you have to go through a certification process with what is called TechSoup. It's an organization that certifies you as a nonprofit. You have to enter your EIN number, and it will verify it through various databases and channels that they use. That certification usually comes back within a day or two, if not immediately. Then you sign up for the Google for Nonprofits account and you set it up. Google has its own system for nonprofits, so you want to create an account in Google for Nonprofits. Once you have done that, then the Google Ad application is visible. You now have access to it and you can get the approval. You can go through the steps applying. And then finally, once you have your approval, you then set up a Google Ad account, which is a separate account, and it's where Google filters all of its ad campaigns. All of the people that either buy them and their ad grants are through this ad account, and you have to set that up. And when you do that, you're attaching and connecting your website, which has to have that .org extension. So these are the steps. Seems pretty simple and straightforward. So, giving you some background on how to apply. So who am I? Why should you believe me? First of all, hi, I'm Dr. Victoria Boyd, and I have 40 years in the nonprofit sector, plus in education. So I'm combining those two experiences and expertise to bring you this training. I'm an author. I have 5 published books. I'm a trainer and a consultant. I also was an instructor of nonprofit management at UNLV for 8 years. Marketing content is my specialty. I sort of love it. I've gravitated there because I saw that's where nonprofits were really having their biggest challenge, not fundraising, but marketing. So I believe marketing is the key to increasing your donations. Even though you might think fundraising is a challenge, if you put your marketing strategies in place and they're effective, your fundraising and donations will increase. I am the founder of the Philanthropreneur nonprofit organization, where education, awareness, and resources are the basis of our mission, which is to build nonprofit capacity through education, awareness, and resources. Okay, let's get back to the Google Ad grants. Some of the marketing benefits that you will see. You'll have increased effectiveness. It's always hard to tell whether or not some of your posts and whatever strategies you're using has been effective. But with their analytics, you'll be able to increase that effectiveness. You'll also be able to do precise targeting. That means you will know exactly what to put out there, because you will do what is called a keyword planning research and find out what is your audience looking for. And then you would do precise targeting to send these ads directly to them. You will have measurable results. That is so important, because how are you going to know whether or not you need to tweak your ad or whether or not it's effective if you can't measure the results? You'll see immediate results. Now, I'm going to put a small caveat to that. Generally, once you first start running ad campaigns, especially if you have viable and effective strategies leading them back to your website, those results won't show up for at least 30 days, because it takes that time for Google and their algorithms to pick up on your activity. So even though we say immediate results, it takes about 30 days for Google to see that you have some great stuff out there and they start featuring you. And finally, you can make data-driven decisions. You can learn and create strategies that are driven by real data. And that is so effective because you're now using measurable results to drive what you do now with your strategies. Marketing benefits. This is always so important, especially with the Google Ad Grants. You have increased visibility. And I don't care how much social media platform posting and things like that, unless you're in those search engines where you've seen it, 91% of the market share goes to Google, and there's 89 billion searches per day. You want to make sure that you're showing up there, and so you will have increased visibility. Brand awareness. This is so important. You want people, when they're thinking about whatever your sector or genre that you're working in, whether it's the homeless or hunger, animal protection and rescue, you want your brand to be what is called front of mind. So they think of you right away. Also, if they're Googling or doing a search looking for animal rescues in your area, your brand will pop up. Mobile reach. Everyone's on their phone. And with Google Ad Grants, you know, they will be fit for your cell phone, and people can find you if they're doing mobile searches. You will have a competitive advantage. Let me tell you why. Even though the Google Ad Grant is open, every 501c3 can get it. It was astounding when I looked at the data that only 4% of all nonprofits in the US are actually using it. That means they're not recognizing the value of digital marketing, digital ads, and having that digital presence. So with a Google Ad Grant, you will have that competitive ad because there's not that much competition out there in the digital ad space. And finally, these targeted programs that you can create are going to really elevate all of the programs, the impact that you're having. You'll be able to change the world with your mission. Now, talked about these technical specifications, and I always push it down a little bit further because these are some things you really need to pay attention to, but unfortunately, it's a high learning curve and you might not understand them all. Your website must be owned by the organization with a .org extension. I haven't run into many organizations that they haven't gone ahead and purchased their URL with their name of the organizations, but some you are using platforms where they're actually a subdomain. For example, if you're using Wix and haven't bought the URL, it will have your organization name, then .wix.com. That means you don't really own that website. It is not your URL that it's being sent to. So if you're using something where it's your name and a subtitle, or like Squares, Share, and all of those different platforms, you really need to look at upgrading, getting your own URL and making sure that everything is directed to whatever your organization's name is .org. That's very important. Otherwise, you'll be denied. That website must have that SSL certification. Now, there's a higher level certification, which is for organization verified SSL. And generally, that's recommended when the organization is collecting money on its website. However, if you're using third-party donation platforms such as PayPal or Zeffy or any of those platforms where they come to your website, but then in order to make a donation, they actually go to a payment portal. That's called a third-party payment. And their system is responsible for the cybersecurity. But your website in general will need a SSL certification. That means when they type in your organization URL, it's typed in as HTTPS:// just like this, HTTPS:// and there's philanthropreneurfoundation.org. That's what your URL should look like. And you need to have Google Analytics installed and Google Tag Manager installed on your website. So, how do you keep your grant? That's a common question, and it can be difficult because they use what is called a pay-per-click model, or a click-through rate, CTR, or a conversion where you have an ad out there, it attracts interest, and people actually click the ad. In the business sector, a conversion is considered where they click through and then actually purchase something. That's a business model. What the Google ad grant compliance looks at is, are people clicking your ad to go to your website? And they count those clicks. They don't care what they do so much once they get there. Now, you should be interested in what they do once they get there. But if your ads are gathering at least 5% conversion from the ad to your website, you will maintain your grant. And that means you want to have powerful ads that have meaning and are relevant to the people that are searching for you. And you probably will want to have a series of ads. You can create as many ad campaigns as you want, but you want them to be effective and valuable. How much is each click through? It varies, but the average is about $2.73. So that means you need to have about 100, just a little over 100 per day. That would use up your $330. But these are the compliance items to keep your ad going. Now, it might be a high learning curve because everybody doesn't know how to create Google ad campaigns. There's specific language and the way it has to be set up. The concept is simple, but the knowledge of ad account implementation requires expertise. So hopefully, if you don't have someone on staff, that you will seek outside expertise, because you don't want to mess up your ad campaigns where they're not effective and not getting those conversions that you need. Google ad placements, their whole account system, and believe me, I've been on it and tried to use it. I ended up getting a professional, and they were designed for professional digital marketers. I don't want to scare you off that you can find them affordable. In fact, the Philanthropreneur Foundation can help you do that. But to relieve the pressure on your staff, this is one place where you might and should invest in your marketing. Now let's look at compliance challenges. Complexity of the ad platform. I just mentioned this, that creating ads and getting them approved by Google is a challenge if you're not an expert. So you want to consider, how much do you want to invest in learning that? Do you have staff with that expertise? Generally, there is no staff with Google ad campaign expertise. And you want to think about, do you want to have someone trained that's your staff, use and invest the time and energy? What happens if they leave? Do you need to start all over again? I recommend that you actually invest in having a resource that will run the ads for you. You'll see, you'll get your return on investment. You don't understand keyword application. And see, that will be essential for that staff member with that expertise to understand how to implement keywords. You'll have to learn how to research them and look them up, and then how to apply them not only to your website, but to the ads that you're running. And then this is a big one, not allocating sufficient budget. And this is a marketing budget. And even though you're saying, well, we're supposed to get $10,000 free, you still need to invest in your organization with the resources that you need to carry out your mission. So let's become familiar with some of the tools. And I mentioned the Google AdWords key research. There's a tool called the Keyword Planner. And at the top of this diagram, that's the keyword planner. You put in a set of words or what you're looking for, or what you think they might be looking for, and they rank different keyword runs. That means a series of words, or they'll give you a series that are ranking higher. The bottom one, which was obtained through Answer the Public, which is another tool out there, and that, sorry about the fuzziness of the diagram, but they give you so many resources. And this is a huge diagram that they provided when I did a search. And those that are highlighted are the ones that receive the highest ranking, or most people were looking for those things. You can take those phrases directly out of these keyword planners and apply them to some of the content that's on your website and in your Google ad campaign language. So you want to think strategically using keyword planners. What's on your website? Is the content built out to really support your campaigns? Think strategically. Follow the ad campaign best practices. Do A and B testing. Use different keywords and test them in different groups. Make sure you have a well-defined goal. And it might be multiple goals. It might be getting folks to an event, a fundraiser. It might be your general fundraising donation page. It might be distributing different resources so that you can find out who's needing this. But have well-defined goals. Know and write for your target audience. Your target audience is who you found was looking for what you have. And it was identified in those keyword searches. So you're going to write for them. They are your main goal. I hate to say it, forget about your organization's goals at this time. What are they looking for? Understand and optimize those keywords. And you might have to do some training just to understand those. But once again, if you have a digital marketing expert that understands Google ad campaigns, they can guide you through that process. Focus on specific actions. Sometimes those are called call to action, but when they get to your website, tell them to do something such as download this resource, and they would enter their email and name in order to get that resource. That is of great value to you because now you have their name and email and you can follow up. And also make sure you're looking at your KPIs, your key performance indicators. Are you getting the results based on your goals that you want? Remember, content is key. You've really got to look at, is your website providing the content that your audience is looking for? A prerequisite and key to success is your website. And it's that content that will drive that success. So let's recap what I've gone over. Google Ad Grants are $10,000 in free ad credits. It's easy to get, but you really need skills and knowledge to run effective and successful ad campaigns. And unfortunately, that learning curve might be high. All roads lead to your website. Even if you don't use Google Ads, make sure that your website has everything that should be there to support your organization's missions, your operations, and management. Make it effective and efficient to really relieve staff of some drudgery of follow-up and things like that. Your website is your most important asset. It should be more than just a placeholder where you've bought the URL and just threw up some things just to say you have a digital presence. And the website should be built to drive success with key elements that are needed. And the right content is that key element. Learn what your audience needs. Learn what they're looking for and make sure that content is available for them. And then ensure that your website gives you the ability to follow up. And the example of that is using a customer relation management tool, a CRM, such as Salesforce or ActiveCampaign. Any of those will work. MailChimp. But you need to have the ability to gather names and emails. It will go in a database, and then you can then start building a relationship and taking those customers down a journey, a relationship building journey. Is this you right now? I know I've given you a lot of information, and I know you probably are on information overload. Have no fear. We have some tools that will help you. We can help put all of these puzzle pieces together. And also, don't miss our other GAG trainings. We have one coming up on websites. We'll be talking about lead magnets. We'll have a ton of different topics, and they'll all be on the second Wednesday of every month. But your website is first. In order to claim that $1,000 per month, you need to have that website ready, and you can learn more how to do that with our GAG Kickstart program. And it's for your organization. And there's also some free resources there. So I encourage you to visit philanthropreneur.org/gag-kick-start. The Philanthropreneur Foundation has other things that we do. We have what is called concierge services. That is where, when we build a website or help you, you get a consultant over an extended period of time, several months. We have a 6-month program and a 12-month program, but you have a consultant at your fingertips to help guide you through different processes wherever you are in the organizational development process. We can help people file their 501c3 paperwork, and we give supportive startup services that you need during that process. And we look at it, what do you need before, during, and after? We do build nonprofit websites, and so you can get a website that contains all of the things you will need to really have the tools, the technical specification that Google requires for that ad grant. But more important, it will have all of the content, and it will be a valuable digital presence for your organization. We can design lead magnets and the concept, come up with ideas when we look at what your organization does, and make recommendations of how to implement those different designs and concepts. And we also have Google Ad Grant Services. We can do it all for you. Make the application, get you certified, set up your Google Ad account. We can even provide you with a Google Ad Manager. If you'd like to chat about that, please visit drvictoriaboyd.com/bookme, and you can schedule a meeting so that we can chat about some of your needs. Okay, that completes the Google Ad Grant introduction session for this Wednesday. Don't forget, every second Wednesday, we provide Google Ad Grant training on all of the different aspects of what is involved in making Google Ad Grants and your campaigns successful.